The psychology of people who dream big but never take action. There's a painful truth that most people never want to admit. Many people don't fail because they're not smart enough. They don't fail because they lack talent. And they certainly don't fail because they lack opportunities. They fail because they spend too much time imagining the life they want and too little time building it. Maybe you've been there too. In your mind, there's a future version of yourself that's disciplined, productive, successful, and confident. You exercise consistently. You learn new skills. You start that business. You launch that YouTube channel. You finally become the person you've always wanted to be. Everything sounds perfect. The problem is that real life looks very different. You wake up. You check your phone for a few minutes become 20, then 30. You tell yourself that today will be different. Today is the day you'll finally get serious. But somehow, another day passes, nothing changes. And the strange part is that you still feel like you're trying. You think about your goals constantly. You make plans. You research. You prepare. You imagine. But when it comes to action, very little happens. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of people are trapped in exactly the same cycle. And the most important thing you need to understand is this. The problem isn't laziness. If you were truly lazy, you wouldn't feel guilty about the things you haven't done. You wouldn't constantly think about improving your life. You wouldn't feel frustrated every time another week slips away. What's holding you back is something much more subtle. It's the way your brain works. Psychologist Timothy Feichel, one of the world's leading researchers on procrastination, once said, "Procrastination is not a time management problem, it's an emotion management problem." That single sentence explains almost everything, because your brain was never designed to make you successful in the future. It was designed to keep you safe right now. In other words, your brain's number one priority isn't success, it's survival. Every time you try to do something bigger than your normal routine, your brain immediately starts scanning for danger. You want to start a YouTube channel. Your brain asks, what if nobody watches? You want to learn a new skill. Your brain asks, what if I'm not good enough? You want to start a business. Your brain asks, what if I waste months and fail anyway? The problem is that your brain often exaggerates these risks. It's like having an overprotective security guard living inside your head. Even when you're standing in front of an ordinary door, it acts as if you're standing at the edge of a cliff. And that's when discomfort appears. You feel pressure. You feel uncertainty. You feel resistance. You don't feel like starting. To escape that discomfort, you turn to something easier. You scroll social media. You watch another video. You check messages. You do random tasks around the house. Almost instantly, the discomfort fades. You feel better. And that's where the trap begins. Because your brain remembers that reward. It learns a simple lesson. Avoiding difficult things makes me feel good. The next time a challenge appears, your brain pushes you toward the same escape route. And over time, a habit is formed. Nobody is born a procrastinator. We train ourselves to become procrastinators through thousands of tiny acts of avoidance. But here's where things get even more interesting. Once the habit is established, your brain doesn't just make you avoid work. It creates clever traps that make avoidance feel productive. The first trap is perfectionism. You tell yourself, I need to learn a little more first. I need a better plan. I need to be fully prepared. It sounds responsible. It sounds mature. It even sounds smart. But many times, perfectionism is simply procrastination wearing a very convincing disguise. You keep preparing. You keep researching. You keep adjusting. You keep waiting. But you never actually begin. Then comes the second trap, the illusion of progress. You watch self-improvement videos. You read books about success. You create detailed plans. You organize your workspace. You fill notebooks with ideas, and at the end of the day, you feel productive. But if we're being honest, the most important task still hasn't been touched. You haven't started. Your brain loves this kind of fake progress because it gives you the emotional reward of achievement without exposing you to the risk of failure. And that's why some people spend years preparing for a life they never actually start living. Now here's a truth that might be uncomfortable to hear. The thing you're avoiding isn't the work itself. It's the emotion attached to the work. You don't fear writing. You fear writing something bad. You don't fear exercising. You fear feeling weak compared to other people. You don't fear starting. You fear failing. You fear judgment. You fear discovering that you're not as good as you hoped. But here's the fascinating part. Most of that fear exists only in your imagination. Think about the last task you procrastinated for weeks or even months. Maybe it was a project, a difficult conversation, a phone call, an application, something you've been avoiding for a long time. Before you started, it felt enormous. It felt overwhelming. It felt terrifying. But once you finally began, you realized something surprising. It wasn't nearly as bad as you expected. Life is often like standing beside a swimming pool. You look at the water and convince yourself it's going to be freezing cold. You hesitate. You step closer. Then you step back. You overthink. You wait. But once you finally jump in, you realize the water isn't nearly as unbearable as your mind predicted. Work is exactly the same. The hardest part is rarely doing the thing. The hardest part is thinking about doing the thing. And that's why the most effective solution is surprisingly simple. Don't try to change your entire life overnight. Don't try to become a completely different person tomorrow morning. Instead, make the task so small that your brain can't find an excuse to resist it. If you want to write, write one sentence. If you want to study, study for 5 minutes. If you want to exercise, simply put on your workout clothes. If you want to create videos, just open the project. That's it. It sounds almost ridiculous. But that's exactly why it works. Because your biggest problem has never been finishing. Your biggest problem has always been starting. Once you begin, the resistance starts to fade. Momentum takes over. Motivation appears after action, not before it. And very often, 5 minutes become 30. One small step leads to another, then another. And before you realize it, you're moving forward. There's a quote worth remembering. You rarely regret the things you tried and failed at. You regret the things you never had the courage to begin. 5 years from now, your life won't be determined by the plans you made. It will be determined by the actions you took, not your motivation, not your inspiration, not the promises you made to yourself at midnight. Your actions. Even the small ones, even the imperfect ones, even the ones that lasted only a few minutes. Because your life doesn't change on the day you feel the most motivated. It changes on the day you decide to act without waiting for motivation. So if there's something you've been putting off, don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. As soon as this video ends, do the smallest possible step. Open the file. Write the first sentence. Read the first page. Work for 3 minutes. Just begin. Because the moment you start is the moment you take back control of your life.